What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Floyd Street's Finest, presented by Great Flood Brewing Company. I am your host, your friend, Jeff Greer. Super excited to be back with you this week for this week's special episode. An absolute privilege to have Denny Crum on the show this week. For anyone who has been fortunate or unfortunate enough to follow my work over the years, there have been a couple of times where Denny and I have gotten together, and he has provided the incredible storytelling that he always has. And I've always enjoyed working with him over the years. Between the story, walking around Freedom Hall with him when I was at the Athletic, just one of my all-time favorite stories anywhere I've worked ever, because of Denny and his ability to storytell, just so funny and so insightful. So absolutely thrilled to have Denny on the show today, and a real privilege for this show, a highlight for this show since its existence, to have a Hall of Fame legendary coach on the show. Before we get to that conversation, though, a reminder, please rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts, where you can give us a 5-star review and leave a little comment too. That helps people find this podcast. And I think I hope that you all agree that we put in a lot of hard work on this podcast each week and try to make it as good as we can, and try to tell as many stories, get as many insights as we can into Louisville men's basketball in particular, but we've had some Louisville women's basketball as well. And I hope that people out there enjoy this podcast. So if you do, please go on to your Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating and review. I don't know if other podcast platforms have rating and reviews. Maybe Spotify does. So if it does, and you're listening on Spotify, help your boy out. A reminder as well to check out the Field of 68. It is Final Four week. We're recording this a little bit earlier in the week, not just because that's when we could do it, but also because it's good to have something early on in Final Four week for content. I am not one of those people who is bored by a Final Four that has 3 blue bloods and a Villanova program that, in my opinion, is one of the top 10 or 15 of all time in college basketball, between, of course, the Rollie Massimino days back in the Raleigh Massimino days back in the 80s, of course, the famous run to the national title, as well as more recent success with Jay Wright. Just a great program. And so we've got 4 high pedigree programs in the Final Four. You've got Duke, UNC in one game. And, I think for Louisville and Kentucky fans, as much as they dislike, especially Duke, we have to appreciate this. We're getting some 2012 vibes here between having 2 rivals play in the Final Four. That is as big as it gets. The only way I guess it could be any bigger is if it was for the national title. And so I'm excited for that. And I think Kansas-Villanova is an underrated matchup, a really good matchup. Although I know Villanova will be a little bit shorthanded going into that game. So really excited for the Final Four, but also really excited to talk about Kenny Payne. And of course, we talk about Joe B. Hall, Denny's dear friend, who recently passed away, who I had the privilege also of interviewing a few times over the years. And I always loved talking to Joe and the stories that he would tell. Just another guy who no filter, just whatever he thought about, wanted to talk about, he would definitely mention it. And I just always go back to the time the story he told me about dancing with a KGB agent when the Soviets were in Lexington to play some exhibitions against Kentucky and just play at Rupp Arena. So of course we talked to Denny about both of those subjects. And we really, really appreciate Denny's time. If you have not already, make sure you subscribe to the Field of 68 as we prepare for the Final Four. They've got all sorts of shows leading up to it. They're going to do tons of previews. They'll have the best interviews out there leading into the Final Four with great content. And make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and find us across all of your different social media platforms. One more thing before we get to Denny, I just want to say, we are very close now to finding out Louisville's coaching staff. I would think that once Duke has completed its play, we'll know at least one assistant at Louisville, and Nolan Smith. That's been kind of the worst kept secret in college basketball, at least in the Louisville category now for weeks. That's not, things could change, but the expectation is that he will join Kenny Payne's staff. I've heard a few other names that I mentioned in my newsletter, jeffgreer.substack.com, if you'd like to subscribe to that. But Louisville's also getting in on recruiting, and Kenny Payne is getting in on recruiting, as we see with some of the players now mentioned, Sky Clark, Tyrell Ward, and of course, there's going to be more as the transfers start coming into the portal and we start seeing more names become available. Louisville will continue to be active there. I think they especially need a playmaking wing and a ball handling guard. Those are the two positions I think they need the most as we've tried to figure out the rest of the roster. I want to just also say happy trails to Sam Williamson, who it didn't go the way he had hoped. It didn't go the way Louisville had hoped. But I have never had a bad interaction with Sam. I always appreciate, he called me Mr. Greer, which certainly made me feel older, but always eye contact, handshake, has a conversation that goes a long way for people. So I wish Sam the very best. He comes from a great family. His mom is awesome. So wish him the best in his future endeavors. I believe he has 2 years of eligibility left if you include the COVID waiver. So maybe he'll play 2 more years in college or at least 1 more. I do think that there is potential there for him to play professionally, whether that's in the States or overseas. So wish Sam the best, and hopefully he can go somewhere and tap into the incredible talent that he does have, and maybe take his career to the next level. So happy trails to Sam. Wish him the best. And yeah, that's not the last departure. I'm expecting more for Louisville as we move along here, but there's certainly going to be guys who want to stay as well. So it'll be interesting, very interesting to see how that all folds out. Well, let me tell you guys about our friends over at Great Flood. They have gone out all season for people, and they are now inviting you to Cardinal women's basketball broadcast for the remainder of the year. I hope that they are still playing after I record this podcast, because they play tonight. So this is a real danger here. But certainly if they are still playing, go enjoy 10% cheaper drinks for the entirety of what would be a Final Four matchup for Louisville. Pricing available at both the Highlands Tap Room and Middletown Restaurant. And we love hosting you and can't wait to root along with you as we cheer on our Cardinals. Thank you for your loyal support, and go Cards. That message, of course, from Great Flood. They have expanded their options in the tap room, first time in 7 years. Wine by the glass or bottle. They've got cocktail, liquor and cocktail menu. And on Sundays, you can go to either location, and enjoy endless mimosas. Endless mimosas. How's that? That's a lot of mimosa if you want it. One more thing, 2 more things. First, let me tell you a little bit about our partners over at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. You've heard us talk about this before. If you haven't signed up with them yet, they are offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. What sets them apart, though, is that they require just 1 playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. With their new Rush Pay instant approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, more secure, and more reliable. The Final Four is here. So get in on the action by going to betrivers.com today or by downloading the BetRivers iOS app. You must be 21 years or older. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Today's episode of Floyd Street's Finest is also brought to you by our friends over at Honey, the easiest way to save money when shopping on your phone or your computer. Lord knows I do that plenty. Have you ever been in this spot? I have. You're shopping for something online, you get to checkout and it asks you for a promo code, and you end up Googling things to see if you can find a way to save a couple bucks here or there. Well, thanks to Honey, manually searching for coupon codes is a thing of the past, because Honey is a free tool that scours the internet for you and finds the one that best fits your card. Here's how it works. You're shopping, you go to checkout, the Honey button pops up, you click apply coupons, wait a few minutes, and you watch the price you pay go down. That's as good as it gets. Who doesn't love saving some money. If you don't already have honey, you are straight up missing out. By getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid and supporting Floyd Street's finest. I'd never recommend something that I don't use. I've already started using it. As I said last week, get honey for free at joinhoney.com/March Madness. That's joinhoney.com/March Madness. Okay, enough house cleaning. Let me get you to our conversation. It is with the wonderful Denny Crum, and we thank him so much for coming on the show and sharing some of his thoughts. All right, we are joined by a coaching legend, a Louisville legend, an absolute privilege to have Coach Denny Crum join Floyd Street's finest. Denny, you know what I think of you. We've had some great times over the years of stories that I've been lucky enough to do with you, and it's a pleasure to speak with you again. How are you doing?
Actually, I'm doing fairly well. I got a good report from my doctor last week, and everything's just ticking along.
I love it. Well, Denny, you know what? It was, I know for every Louisville fan out there, it was particularly emotional to see you and Wade greeting Kenny when he got off the plane at Bowman Field. Can you walk us through what the emotion was like seeing one of your former players walk off the plane to coach where you coached?
Yeah, Kenny Payne is now the head basketball coach here at the University of Louisville, and he and I have a lot of things to talk about, and I'm going to try to help him with his thinking and thought process. Whatever I can do, I'm going to do it, and I'm tickled to death that he's got this opportunity, because he's put in his time. He was 10 years at Kentucky as an assistant to excuse me. Anyway, he was an assistant to John Calipari, and for 10 years, and now he's been with the New York Knicks for the last couple of years, and this opportunity is to come home and be able to come back to your alma mater. And I think that's just, for me, it doesn't get any better than that. And if I had any regrets, I would probably say that my biggest regret would be that I didn't go back and coach at UCLA. But by the same token, I'm not regretful of that. I just think it would have been nice, but as it turned out, I made my home here in Louisville, and I'm just tickled to death that the way things have turned out for me. It's a dream come true for me to welcome Kenny here back to Louisville as a head basketball coach.
Yeah, there's something very special about coaching your alma mater. There's no question about that. There's something very special about that. Do you, what kind of coach will Kenny be, do you think?
Well, he'll be a hands-on coach. I mean, he'll put in his time. He's he's really looking forward to this opportunity, and I think he recognizes what an honor it is to be come back and coach your alma mater. That's just a part of, I think, what most people would love to be able to do, and the fact that he's going to get to do that, well, that it makes me feel real good, and I know it makes him feel good. So I'll help him, and he'll help me. We'll be doing it down the road.
Denny, I'm curious for your thoughts on the impact this has on the Louisville community, and why this is important. This hire is important for U of L.
Well, Kenny was one of our dearly beloved players when he played for us, and he used all of his time and efforts to become the best coach that he can be, and I feel like for him it's a dream come true, and I think he'll do a good job with it. His main thing is he's going to be able to recruit, some top quality players. I think that's what everybody's expecting him to do, and he's already been through that. When you look about what's going to be his legacy, I think you'll find that he's going to be right at the top of his profession. I think he'll do a real good job, and like I told him, actually, anything I can do to help you, Kenny, I'll be more than willing to do. Not looking for any recognition or not looking for any pay or anything like that. I just feel like my background is such that I think I can help him in a lot of ways with just his thinking process and planning practices and different things like that. That I always felt that I was very good at that kind of stuff. So I might be overstating myself. I don't know.
No, you're not, Denny. You are not.
But it really is. It's a dream for me to be able to help him, and whatever he needs to do, I know he'll be out there on the road doing it. He's just is a really conscientious. He's just going to be really, really good at what he does.
What type of player was Kenny?
Well, he was a good player. He didn't get to play as much as I think he would have liked, but I think that's because we had Billy Thompson and Herbert Crook and other really good players in the same position. So for him he didn't get to shine as much as he could, but he was a real student of the game. He would come in and say, "Why are we doing this?" Or what what do you think, Coach? And I mean, I know Kenny very well, and I know he's a real student of the game, and he'll do a good job.
Denny, I'm curious from your perspective, being a former player, how, especially at Louisville, how do you think that will influence him as a coach? That experience as a player who played at Louisville and knows what Louisville is all about.
Well, I think that that's a reality that I look forward to seeing. I think Kenny is one of those hardworking. He'll put his heart and soul into what he's going to be doing, and whenever if I can help him in any way, he knows that I'm available. Since I've been retired 22 years now, I haven't forgotten anything. I don't think, but I'll be able to help him in a number of ways, and I think he'll appreciate it, and he'll take by the horns, and he'll be a very good head coach.
Well, last thing for you, Denny, someone who I always enjoyed talking to, Coach Joe B. Hall, recently passed. I know he was a very good friend of yours. I have some great memories of fun conversations with him. What can you speak to about his legacy and your friendship?
Well, Joe and I became really good friends. We did a radio show together, and I'd get up in the morning and I'd say, I need to talk to Joe, so I'll get in my car and drive to Lexington and just spend some time with him. He was very intelligent. He was one of those guys that he didn't leave any stone unturned. He was a great recruiter, and he was a very good coach. And I think the chance that I got to spend a lot of time with him was as a pleasure for me, because I know how much he loved the game, and how much he enjoyed his coaching career.
Well, Denny, as I said earlier, it's always a privilege to speak with you. Thank you so much. It's nice to see you, albeit through Zoom, but it's wonderful to see you, and thank you so much for your time.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.